3, 2, everyone, it's Thursday. It's Talking Thursday. I hope you all have something good to drink, smoke, or whatever else moves your fancy. If you're new, please let us know where you're logging in from, because it's always fun to see our friends from abroad. And talks about where there's no ad bothering you in the middle of viewing anything, where we're not selling anything, including ourselves or our dark souls, and where we are focused on documenting stuff before they disappear in perfumery. And with us today we have Hakanabi. Remind me where you're logging in from, please. Rich, Mitch, hello. JC Russell, Christy O from Virginia, Geza from Prague, Noah, and Ildiko Fulop, our Hungarian sister from Eastern Europe. Today we're going to be talking about a house that knows, of course, to my nose and on my skin. Minodora, hello from the Isle of Man. Stream buffering intermittently. I'm sorry. There's not much I can do about that. Seti from Washington State. Gemini from Newcastle and Poland. Taffy from Chicago and Dan Watkins from Car provide a long introduction. So again, if you're new on this channel and you want to only hear about the fragrance, you can log off, go pee, not 2016 as it is declared on some forums. And there are definitely more fragrances than you will find on Fragrantica, for example, because 2014 and ending in 2017. Fragrances have not been built since, and as far as I know, there is no intention because we match styles, but because we match methods. Her name is Holiday Salts. She is a thing I can do right now to help that out. Maybe close some windows. Maybe this will help. My signal shows quite consistently, so not really sure what's happening. Gabriela, welcome. North Carolina and then Mississippi, Missouri. So I hope I'm not mistaken. This is all I could find on. And she also learned coding, because this is what one does when you're very artsy. You also go and learn programming. She did various jobs and gravitated towards methods of creation that allowed her to add depth to the process and spend copious amounts of time doing research. She decided to apply the same type of method and way of thinking to everything that she creates and puts her hands and mind to. She is therefore an overall very rounded, very methodical. Seti says, I tried refreshing and now it's not working at all. I can see you all and I can see your comments. My signal seems to be relatively okay. It's full signal. Please let me know if it's not working. I can see your comments. Does anybody, please let me know. So I was talking about Holiday Salts, who is the perfumer for Apoteker Tepe, who is a very as well, who looks at perfumery as it being a craft. I think Jean-Claude Elena has the same type of approach to perfumery. If I restart the stream, I will have to restart the story because I can't mix the two videos once I have them. It's going to look and sound very fragmented. So watch it afterwards. If you are online, if you can talk, please stay with me if you can. So Holiday Salts. She looks at perfumery as it being a craft, just like Jean-Claude Elena, who says you create put all of your effort in and represents all of who or what you are at one time with no room for growth. He thinks craft is a perpetual type of work where through exercise you get to and it's a craft because you get to adapt it to the brief, to the person in front of you, be it the end user or a creative director who comes up with an idea that needs to be put into practice. A craft is something that you keep working at. A craft is something that can be perpetually. So she looks at perfumery the same way, and as such, after studying it as well, she launched her first collection in 2014. If you see those bottles, I haven't seen one in ages, but if you see them, please grab them, particularly if you see them for little to no money, because you're going to be sitting on a pot of gold. They go for incredible amounts of money right now, even though she sold them for very, very, very common sense prices. 100 mils was 100, 50 mils were 100 was what they used to sell for. Please grab them and redirect them to people who are looking for them. Don't try to make a profit. This is not, haggling. This is not a bazaar. We're not trying to make money out of our passion, or at least I'm not. So she is a Renaissance woman. She looks at perfumery as a craft, and she launched in 2014 a collection that is presented in rectangular bottles. I've never held one in my hands. I've seen them online. I've smelled some of them, but they're very rare nowadays. The second collection she came out with was in 2016, and this is a precursor to that. Some of the fragrances were built in 2015 and then launched in 2016, and they look like this. So in total, there's to study, and because she likes facts and because she likes to cover as many collective memory experiences as possible, she added Tepe to the name. Tepe, thank you. Tepe comes from Turkish, and it means hill, mound. In archaeology, tepe is being used nowadays with the separate meaning of archaeological mound, a hill under which you might find something from other times. Even though tepe is a Turkish word, it actually seeped now into archaeology. So every holy mound, every mountain, every archaeological discovery of ruins of ancient civilizations, of new temples that nobody knew about, are now called tepe. If you've heard tepe before, you probably heard it because in the past few years we've heard or we've found out more about Göbekli Tepe, which is one of the most recent discoveries, even though it was at the end of the 90s. This being a complex of temples from about 12,000 years ago. So Göbekli, I apologize for that. There's nothing I can do to make it better, unfortunately. So that's the Tepe attached to the Apoteker Tepe name for the brand. Now, the video will be completely fragmented, and the full video will be available, yes, once the stream is over. Otherwise, I don't have the means to download the separate videos, put them together, re-upload. It's just not, unfortunately, working for me. I actually suck at editing, so I do what I can. I apologize. And I hope you're going to come back and see the video once it's recorded and flowing. On this end, I'm going to keep going if you don't mind. So I was talking about Holy Mountain. The Holy Mountain, the name of the fragrance. Anabasis is another name for one of her fragrances, and Anabasis is a very obscure book by of the water, a sea or an ocean back inland or up inland. So she picks Very interesting concepts as inspiration for her fragrances. There's another one called Peradam, which in my brain sounds really, really good. Not the fragrance necessarily, but the name. Peradam meaning a mythical stone, the origin of, and some Semitic languages as well. So Peradam is a stone, kind of like the ultimate crystal that degraded, and that's how we got diamonds later on. So diamonds are a degraded, decomposed version of the Peradam. So she has very, very interesting notions for her fragrances. She's my kind of nerd, yes. Ultimate nerd galore. And the Holy Mountain, therefore, could be referring to a lot of sacred peaks. Yeah, to Kailash, to Kilimanjaro, to Mauna Kea. There's the Burkhan Khaldun in Mongolia. There's the... Wait a second. I'm sorry. There are two people fighting outside. Two ladies fighting outside, and I got scared, but they seem okay. They're just... Okay. We were talking about holy mountains. I believe this is inspired from the Greek. They're not boxing, but something's happening. Hi, Neil. Her history, the name of the brand, the concept of the brand, the other fragrances in the brand, and now we're talking about the Holy Mountain. Got to the name. Holy Mountains. Holy Mountains. Hope over perfume. Holy Mountain, I think, refers to Mount Athos in Greece. I believe in the back of my brain, I might have seen either an interview or something. So for some reason, that stayed in my brain. I've never been to Mount Athos for the simple reason that Mount Athos does not allow vaginas on it. So unless you have a pair of balls, you're not going to go on Mount Athos. Actually cannot be inhabited necessarily to one that can, and that the monks took over. Nowadays, Athos islands in Greece, don't get very distracted. It's somewhere in the curvature of Greece, up in the northeast of the country. It's a mountain and a peninsula. It's a very important center for, I said balls. I say a lot of things. I said vagina too. And now we're talking about the holy mountains of Orthodox Christianity. Go figure. This is why it's called a very slow review. And now there's 4 of us online. Either you guys are dropping because the signal is short, or I don't know what's happening. Or I'm boring, which that's what happens with slow reviews. Hi, Dan. I was saying Mount Athos is very, very important for Eastern Orthodoxy. It belongs to Mount Athos has been a World Heritage Site since the 80s, and it's full of monasteries. Monasteries are full. From Craiova, welcome. And Ashfaq, I didn't say hello to you, brother. Bangladesh is with us. There are about 20 to 25 big monasteries on Mount Athos. Bulgaria, Serbia, Russia, Romania, Moldova, Greece, everybody who presents as a Greek Orthodox or Eastern Orthodox Christian. So I think this is about that Mount Athos. Now, Mount Athos, because that means I will never see God. Maybe I'll feel God, but not see God, because I have all sorts of impure thoughts, and I always say balls and vagina. Leaving that aside, today we are talking about the Holy Mountain. Holy Mountain, and this is where we're starting to talk about the fragrance itself after 24 minutes of talking about Holy Mountains. And with this, because a lot of people see this uber balsamic, burnt caramelized balsamic top impressum as Worcester sauce, as barbecue sauce. I've heard it as burnt molasses, but usually you hear Worcester and barbecue because it's the type of vinegar molasses top note that is sometimes very hard to process, underneath which there's so much smoke you feel like doing this. It's the most lava fragrance I've ever smelled in my life without it being laden with condiments and spices, which is very hard to do in my opinion. Usually hot fragrances are hot because of certain resins, are hot because of a lot of condiments and a lot of spices. This is not a spicy fragrance, and yet it is hotter than anything I've smelled in my life. And with the caveat that it smells like fire without it being extremely harsh or chemical on the skin. There's a lot of fire and lava and molten stuff nowadays going on. Molecular perfumery has been doing a really, really good job with that. I'm thinking in particular to or about this is not as harsh. This is not cutting. This is hot embers radiating and pulsating and being super, super burning hot in your face and alive hot. I've seen some pictures and they're fully modern, some of them live off the grid and with no plumbing and no electricity. And depending on the denomination, I think they have different lifestyles. Leaving that aside, if I am trying to refer specifically to the smell and the images it conjures, I am thinking of a hearth made of stone with a firewood burning. So I'm going to refer to the notes the way they declare them, and then I'm going to tell you what other things I smell, with the mention that lately, to be honest, I'm a little bit down because the more people I talk to, the lesser chances are to always be exactly smelling the same thing, exactly thinking the same thing. I have a lot of, yes, I can see what you're saying, but. So I'm not sure if it's my nose that smells differently or because statistically there are more chances that we do not align. I have no idea, but I'm trying hard to not take it too hard. Two of which are very unlikely to match exactly. So I've had a few back and forth, a lot of people who are mistaken. Some labdanum, which is there, some smoke, and some guaiac wood, if I'm not mistaken. This is what you're probably going to find on forums, and this is what you're probably going to find in people's, as in a very, very harsh labdanum. There are coniferous notes. Everything is there. Apart from all of this, which is definitely present, I smell the following. At first nose, I thought I smell agar. Oud. Not sure it's there nowadays, but there is another smoky element, almost like a smoking cypress wood that I can't really pinpoint. It's a dry, woody, slightly terpenic, and burning type of, as if there would be such a, like a milky, fruity type of note mixed in there, or if it's an overripe, very concentrated pomegranate, kind of a little bit acrid, but very sweet still, burning molasses. So imagine something that sticks to the pot as you're cooking. So it's a very edible but burned, brought to the point where it's almost not consumable. I smell a lot of frankincense in this. I don't know if it's conditioning or not, but it's the kind that's not very, it's not very citrusy. It's more terpenic than citrusy. Very myrrh. Now, myrrh, if you melt it, smells a certain way. If you burn it and you actually put it directly on a living flame, it smells differently. It's burnt. This is burnt myrrh. So it has dark caramelly, dark cola, tannic, medicinal, dark brown type of sooty, but caramelly notes at the same time. It's very interesting. There are a little bit of, there's some waxy aspects. Beeswax, but it does go into propolis a little bit. For some reason, lately I've been, yesterday and the day before was all about Slow Dive from Iram Green. So for some reason, maybe because of the weather, maybe because of how I physically feel, I gravitate towards more medicinal type of smells. But this is what I pick up in this as well. If you ever had Swedish bitters, either to drink or to put on your skin as treatment for something, you know, that kind of very deep, very medicinal, bitter, brown, green, underground tones that seep through nose and skin and everything else. So there's a little bit of them go into different kind of category. Basil and fat leaves go into different categories. So herbs in my head are living in different categories as well. This is in the dry wild marjoram type of undertone. There's some wild chamomile note in there as well. Not very certain where it's coming from, and not very certain it is it. But the impressum, and just to recap, the most important smell in all of this, on top of it, there's a vinegar note that some describe as barbecue. It comes from an overstimulation of balsamic in the back of the brain. So it's a very intense labdanum, maybe a little bit of Peru balsam, a little bit. Maybe it's mixed with something similar to propolis. So it's a very herby and dark medicinal type of underground note. The smoke from Gaillac, I almost feel a little bit of an animalic type of bit, but it seems vegetal at the same time, almost like costus. So it does smell like burning leather almost, but it's not castor oil meat. It's not birchy too much, although there is a little bit of a tar note in there. So coniferous smoke top, and then a lot of resins on the bottom, with some medicinal tones, with some herbal tones, and tea, black tea, Sideris tea, and maybe rooibos tea. It's somewhere in the middle. So it's like, in my head, it's like a dark red, brown type of tannic tea. And the weirdest thing on this that doesn't come out too often, and it only comes out on the skin, is a salty aspect. I don't think I read about it's rocky, but it has a salty, almost, it's not marine salt, but it does have some sort of a salty background that is very interesting. I don't know where it's coming from. This is very aesthetic. This is very I refrain from stuff. This is we don't have any vaginas on this mountain. I'm sorry to say this out loud, but this is basically what it smells like. There's nothing bodily about this. There's nothing even defining the process of illumination. Doesn't smell like somebody is praying or like somebody's prayer. This smells like everything else except for the person on that mountain, if that makes any sense. This has nothing humane about it. This is not necessarily a fragrance that you can wear as an extension of self to express yourself, who you are. This is not it. This is the same way as you display maybe some art in your house that you think represents you, but you don't wear. Minerally, it might have been made by humans, but it will be here before you're gone. And it was here way before you were born, kind of a thing. And it was here way before your religion was born. And it was here before time was here, kind of a thing. It's a very, respond to trends, likes, dislikes, requests, personal representation and all that stuff, which is not bad. This is not it. This is not. This, to me, this is very not it. And it is, again, the hot-scented at all. There are the herby, at times I thought I smelled coriander seeds. I'm probably mistaken, but this is hot. This is pulsating, when you blow on the fire, lose the live feeling. Go back in time a minute. It will fix it and you don't lose the live feeling. Oh, thank you, Giza. So this is the Holy Mountain. Unlike anything else I've smelled, I would love to have more of hers. This is a unicorn. You're not going to find it anywhere. I'm thinking to devise a way to share from it. This will not go on swaps unless, I find a collector who really, really has to have it. I don't know, something. Usually I give up my collectibles for those who actually do only that. So if I have a very rare bottle of something and there's someone who only collects that something, I will let it go for a swap, usually, or I will gift it or something. There's two when honors are due. So unless, somebody like that comes about, I'm probably going to hold on to this bottle. Speaking of the bottle, Holiday, I don't even know how to pronounce her name. I've never heard it said out loud. It's spelled that have this shape. So it's not exactly a square. It's a rounded square. And it looks small, but this is a 15 mil. So it used to be sold for $110. Now it goes for insane. Burning coal, coniferous, resinous, balsamic, vinegary, and slightly medicinal Holy Mountain from Apoteker Tepe. A true unicorn. If you like this kind of nerdy facts and content on fragrances and perfumery that other people don't talk about, please stick around. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Tell other people, because I'm not advertising myself. Leave me your comments, leave me your requests, leave me your suggestions, your criticism, if it's objective. If it's not, sorry. I'm probably not going to address it very soon because I prioritize. Come follow me on Instagram because we have different kind of content over there. You can find me at a nose knows over there. Watch out, there's another a nose knows something. That's a new account that's kind of share writing with me. Are auctioned for charity. Send them my way. If you have karma to send me or good thoughts, send them my way. I need them nowadays. If I just love the way my mind works. Thank you. That I have plenty of. That I'm going to be able to confirm with you very, very soon about Milan. And the most important thing, The most important thing, and this, I think that the save for us as humans and as species, wherever you go, brothers and sisters, make it better. I'll leave you with it, and I will see you next week. We'll see with what. I have a few options. Maybe something easier to find. Maybe a cheapo that's easier to find and that nobody knows about.